Now, ladies and gentlemen, is a thought leader in building resilient supply chains who has experience of more than a decade of studying, designing, and developing business strategies for the manufacturing and supply chains. He has worked with CEOs and CXOs across the auto and ancillary, heavy engineering, pharmaceuticals, consumer products, FMCG, and other related sectors to develop responsive and agile supply chains which are future-ready. His area of interest and expertise is to enable thought leadership amongst the organizations towards the new and vital role of supply chains in their growth journey. He is an IIT Kanpur and IIM Ahmedabad graduate and currently the CEO of FlowSmart, an organization which has enabled multiple companies across the industries to become much more responsive and efficient in their operations. To speak to us now on the topic, responsive supply chain is no longer an option but a necessity. Please welcome Mr. Dipankar Shree Gyan, CEO, FlowSmart.
Am I audible at the back? Just a thumbs up. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thank you, Neelu. And it's a pleasure to be here, and that too at this time after these two sessions. It couldn't have been better because they have already established the context. So if you see, Dr. Dalgarkar, he talked about how the sales is going to be transformed. And when you think about it, it is actually you who are going to play a very critical role in that, right? And after that, Srinivasam ma'am, she talked a lot about how being efficient is not enough, how we have to be more effective. And that's something that, that is completely, set up the context that I am going to talk to you about. And the reason why this is something that we want to talk to you about is because once we go from here, you will enable those kind of a change in your organizations, and that is going to set the course of the future that your organization will get into. So with that, let me start. Let me just put up. Yeah, correct. So the topic that I'm going to talk about is responsive supply chain, no longer an option, but necessary. Now, let me admit, I have not yet defined what responsive supply chain is. So as a result, what responsive means could be very different to all of you, right? But nonetheless, we will be able to build a common understanding of this, what responsiveness is all about, right? But more important than that, why it is now necessary. That is something that we are going to think, understand, debate, discuss about, right? Now, why this topic is so close is in terms of when I work with lots of manufacturing and supply chain organizations, and when you see how their products are being consumed out there in the market, the way these products are being consumed is very different now compared to how they were consumed around 10, 15 years ago. Okay? Just to give you an example, we buying a shirt used to be an event for us in terms of planned event. Okay, Dashera will come, Durga Puja will come, Diwali will come, and we will do those shoppings. Now, is it? Probably not. For my kids, they will simply say, Papa, just order it, right? They don't want us to plan for it. You just order it. They even know how to see whether it's available or not. They're just, 5, 6 years old. So the products that we are selling now, how it is getting consumed has changed drastically. But has the way we manage our supply chain, whether that has changed or not, or whether even is it important for us to change, that's something we are trying to address. So with that, let me ask this fundamental question. What is it that will kill a company? See, all of us can say, okay, how we can grow 15%, 20%, 30% and this. But let me ask the other question, what is it that is going to kill you? Because whatever comes out of that is something that is necessary for you to do, right? So when we throw this question away, right now I don't intend to take any survey, but I'll just summarize, and probably this will summarize the thoughts that probably you will be having in your mind is, we did not sense the trend, right? We had been sleeping on it, we were caught unaware, or maybe we sensed it, but we resisted it. We denied ki no, this is not going to be the future. Right? All of us are very well aware of Nokia, right? So we know the change is happening, but somehow we are resisting it. Or even if we decide to undertake that journey, we are probably slower than the competition. And by the time we catch up, we end up outpaced, and again we go back to the first point itself. And this is something that most of you will also be having in mind, that okay, how do you adapt to the change and all. But this is not what we want to talk about. What we want to talk about is why these kind of things happen, why we are resisting to it, why we are unable to sense it, why we are not able to adapt to it, right? So that is the question that we would like to understand. Correct? Makes sense? Yes, no, good, bad, ugly? Yeah, great. So now to understand, okay, now to answer this question, why this kind of thing happens. So let's delve right into what is happening into a shift into a consumer behavior. Like I mentioned, right? Earlier, there was so much of time between the thought of it and we purchasing it. So the organizations who are into the business of making those goods, they had this much of time to plan for it, to make things available, right? Now that time has considerably reduced. Now this is the window that is left for us. Within this time, if you are not available, I as a customer move on, right? Take any example. Now we are used to ordering on Swiggy. Earlier we used to plan to go to restaurants on weekends. We will plan for what is better, what is good, this thing. Now we just want to try out. For clothes, for appliances, we are ordering online now. Seeing some reviews, some this thing, we'll make a judgment. This is available, we'll place an order. Why? Because probably the supply chain has enabled us to do that. I remember when I was in school, I had a SBI account. At that time, when I had to withdraw money, so I had to take the withdrawal form, go and take the signature of my hostel superintendent. Yes, he is authorizing me. Go back. So it was the entire activity was one day. After that, ATMs came in. Now we have electronic payment. So something that has enabled me, the need was always there. For me to when I'm thinking, to when I'm doing, I want to have it instant. But this is something that the supply chain, that entire operation has enabled me to do that. And similar things are happening across in the categories. I remember about my dad getting scooter after I think a wait of 1 year or something. Today, can anybody force you to have a scooter after 1 year? Can they say, okay, you come, I've taken all your customization request and I'll deliver it to you after 1 year? No. So that is what is fueling that change in terms of the operations coming to that level. So the question is now, where it is going to go forward? Is it enough that what we are doing today as an operations and on some level meeting those customer expectations, is it enough for the future? Like ma'am said, right? What has brought us here in a very efficient, effective way may not be enough to take us into the future, right? So this window of opportunity is now really shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. There are startups now coming up to catch on to this shrinking opportunity. We have heard of Blinkit and Zepto. I don't know how many of you use it, but I'm pretty sure your kids will definitely be using it. And your grandkids will be definitely using it. So that's the new benchmark. Now, if we don't catch up to that, if we don't align our chain in that way, then somewhere it is going to be a question of survival, right? So currently what supply chains do? How do we operate? We work on a longer horizon. 1+2 is a very common theme in manufacturing, right? 3 months of plan, 1 month of firm, and all those things we do. We work on predefined orders as against what's happening to the current reality. So we are tuned in the way that somebody has to make sense of what's happening, collate it, and then present to us that this is what you need to manufacture, this is what you need to procure. That's how supply chains have been operating, right? Now the entire thing comes down to how that person in the middle, how is he making sense of all these different consumption rates and the inventories that I want to keep in and all those things, and subsequently passing it down as an order. You can get better and better at that. You will use some more forecasting techniques and all those things. You will become more efficient in that. But the question is, will you become more effective in this approach? So, despite doing all this work on much longer horizon, working on predefined orders, we eventually find ourselves in this kind of a situation. I'll tell you what this situation is with. So, how many of you would have sensed this kind of a thing? The discussion between supply chain operations and the sales and marketing. Supply chain says that this is what you had ordered for. So, you had ordered for something which is rectangular in shape. The sales and marketing says, no, what we need is something round in the shape. And the CEO is sitting in between. He is listening to both sides of arguments. No, sir, this is what they had given as an order. This is what they had forecasted. No, this is what the requirement is. We communicated to them. We made them. I had told him that, all those kind of things. But despite working on these two established methodologies, we often find ourselves into this kind of a situation. So what will top management do? He will say, bring me a chisel. I will just, try to shape it and see whether it fits into what is required. So you'll chisel out a little bit of this and chisel out a little bit of that and try to make a fit. That's what top management has to do, right? This is something that we have to think about. Going ahead, going forward, is it going to be sustainable? Every year, I'm sure most of you will be adding SKUs and new products like anything. You have not come down from there, right? You have been adding and adding and adding only. So more and more complexity getting added to the supply chain, right? So then we have to think whether it's still sustainable to do it this way, right? So what we try to think as, what is the core problem over here is we have all this product mix change, demand fluctuation, change customer expectations, but in the middle of it, it is our role which is to fulfill all this. Somehow we are sitting with eyes closed. Somehow we are thinking that somebody will make sense of all this and tell to me. What I will focus on? Efficiency. You give me certainty, I will give you efficiency. That's how we have been interacting all along, right? Give me 1 month of firm, 2 months of firm, don't change in between, don't call in between, and I will give you the best efficiency. That is something that we have been operating at, and that is something what we say as the culture of the organization. Do not subordinate to speed and flexibility. It's something that has been inbuilt in us. We have become much more efficient, and thanks to consultants like us, we have at some point in our career would have drilled around this efficiency and achieve operational excellence and all those things. But somewhere we moved away from your ability to become agile and work at speeds. That is something that we have been missing all along. And trust me, if we do not do it now, somebody else will definitely do it. Because they do not come with that past baggage of efficiency but ineffectiveness. They don't come with that. Right? So, with this, what we suggest is very simple. We have been focusing on all this efficiency because yes, PQ, CDCM, all those parameters are there. So, primarily we focus on all this, right? It's good. Let the team celebrate. But you as future thought leaders, you have to think towards what we call as a North Star. All of us know what is North Star? Yeah? What was the role of it? A key role of North Star back when we did not have GPS, we did not have any communication satellite. It always guided us. It always guided us towards one thing. Now, this North Star, so there is something called a North Star metric. For your supply chain and organization, what is it that you can always look towards? And if you think, boss, so for a North Star, a ship which is traveling at a very efficient rate, consuming very much fuel, very less fuel and all that, doesn't matter if it is not going in the right direction. So you can always think about the North Star, keep following it, and in that process become efficient. Any which way we are now, we know, right, how to become more efficient. You give me a process and I will become more efficient. That's something that is heavily institutionalized in all of you. But the question is, what is it that I should keep on getting reminded of? So, availability at speed is something that has to be adopted as a North Star metric for supply chains. Because that's what our role is. Dr. Kaustav said that, right? Sales in its current form will completely change. So our job, and actually we already see the signs of it. There are big FMCG organizations who have now moved their entire metric of sales team, the key indicators of sales team, towards creating availability rather than those revenue numbers. Because that's what is enabler, right? Now customer has all the information. He just wants to see whether the material is there or not. Can I order it? Will it come to me? How fast it will come to me? Because I always have the option of sending it back if it is not as per my requirement. So planning is not required at all. I just bring it, I don't like it, I send it back. That's what supply chain has to deal with now. Right? And if you're thinking if this kind of phenomena is mostly urban and all, you will be far from truth. Right? In smaller towns, today, till this date, they were limited to what is there their local dealer is having. No more now. They have access to all the information. They have access to what is it that is getting sold around the country. Right? So, my entire agenda was not to, it looks like, now, this is the truth, this is the reality, right, that we have to face, we have to accept and move on and understand how do we build upon it, right? But the question is, how do we do it? It's not very tough, it's not very, difficult to do that. But always remember, the first thing is, what you are having currently as a culture of the company is something, the culture of the supply chain, it's not sustainable. Working just as per the orders and not knowing about what's happening is something that will land you in trouble. So when I say trouble, in terms of it will create chaos in your supply chain. And today you can see that happening, right? How many times you would have thought, hey, if the sales team is coming with a new request, why didn't they tell me earlier? I just had some extra capacity, right? I could have done it. But you took so much of time to make those changes. So the question is, how do we do it? How do we go ahead? Right? So for that, let me define what the supply chain responsiveness is. And this is again something, when I say that as a supply chain responsiveness, what will come to your mind? faster adoption to the change, what is happening, let me let our supply chain get aligned to it. Shorter lead times. Customer was yesterday, used to getting the material at 30 days of lead time. Now he wants it 5 days. Correct? Flexibility, better business forecast, all these things come to our mind, right, in terms of how do we become more responsive. So just taking this ahead, in terms of how do we build upon it, is today how do we spend our times? So there was a CEO who was trying to understand. He had been to one of the sessions which was like this, and then he started thinking, okay, let me do some changes to my organization. So he tried to think, okay, today what is it that my people are spending time on? And when I say time, it is the space, my mind space of my team, where it is most occupied. First one is firefighting, deviation management. How many of you have something called note for approval mechanism? NFA, right? Or in some other form, right? Why you are there? You are taking a decision, right? And that decision is always against cost, against the agility and flexibility. And that's what you are always deciding upon. Half truck abhi bhejna hai ya nahi bhejna hai? No, sir, the sales team is requesting for that, otherwise we'll lose that order. Okay, do it. I have to break the setup now. Yes, sir, do it. There is a pressure from top management. But this is what we keep on doing. After that, whatever time is left, we focus, what is happening in our local efficiency, how our indicators are looking, cost, efficiency, and all those parameters. And then sometime that is left, we will take up some sort of a long-term task. Right? This is something that is governed from the corporate office. So, okay, we have to spend and we have to think about the future as well. But this is how largely we end up spending our time, our mind space. When we say time, doesn't mean, okay, well, how much time I attended in the meeting, but my mind space is mostly about this. So, constant challenges in the business. On one side, we have the sales team keep on saying, sir, material is not available, we don't get it when we want it. What is our response to that? Sir, the demand is not getting properly projected. There are so many uncertainties into it. They will come and keep on changing all this. New products are not available in time, the sales will say. What we will say? Already what we have made is something that they are not selling. Why are you pressurizing us for the new product? Sell here what I have made. You are standing on top of your head, top of our heads to get this manufactured. Now that is going and sitting into the warehouse. Right? No cost advance. Sir, we are out-competed by the competition. They are selling at such a low cost. Our supply chain is not able to get that kind of a cost. And the funny part is, this kind of discussion will be happening in the competition company also. There also the same thing will be there, right? Sir, cost is out of this thing. We are not cost competitive. What supply chain will say? Sir, you are not letting me be more efficient. You do not project the demand properly. I cannot get a good rate from the supplier. Operations keeps on going into the chaos. All these things are happening, right? Long lead time. Again, no visibility, no this thing, no certainty of the orders. So I have to give a very high lead time. All this thing will be happening. So what the CEO said was, no, yaar, we have to collaborate. We have to come together. Then only we can go ahead. So as a collaboration, the first conclusion was, supply chain ended up in getting from sales and marketing a commitment that you kindly give us good demand and good forecast. They were able to do it. Okay? Supply chain also said, hey, the sales and marketing also said, yeah, definitely, yeah. No, we are working on it. We are getting some more tools to do a better forecast, do a better this thing. We will understand the data better. And then both of them shook hands. Then the CEO says, hey, wait. Last quarter also, the same discussion happened. In there also, both of you agreed on the same thing. So then he said, wait, there is something that is missing. If this happens to be a problem throughout the time that we are not able to sense better demand, there could be inherent uncertainty, right? And like ma'am said, this uncertainty is actually growing and growing only. A lot of competition has come in, right? All of you seasoned professionals, right? Think of how the demand was 30 years ago and how the demand is now. Very volatile, very difficult to predict. So then there is one more missing piece of the puzzle, which is the responsive supply chain. If the supply chain becomes more responsive, then the errors that I am making in doing a better forecast can be compensated. If I have the ability to deliver a product in 10 days as against to 1 month, I am forced to forecast only for 10 days. That is the missing puzzle, missing piece of the puzzle. And CEO says, ki boss, on one side we will keep on working on this, but we also have to ensure that we build the supply chain. We build a very responsive supply chain so that we are able to help sales and marketing as well. And from here, just laying out some rules of what do we mean by responsive supply chain. Now, most of you will be thinking, hey, we are able to respond only whenever there is a request come. Is there anybody who is able to say, sir, we are not able to meet 90% of these changes that is being thrown at us from sales and marketing? Everybody is able to, right? Who is not able to meet? We are able to adopt, right? We are able to change. We will run around here and there, that's fine. We will make some changes. Why? Because we know the flexibility that is inside my entire chain. We are able to do that. But that is what we call as a reactive supply chain. You don't do it by design. You do it because the pressure comes on you. And then you have venues to somehow do it. That is what we would like to differentiate between, right? What is reactive and what is responsive. Very simple things. Forced actions against efficiency. You don't want to break the setups, but you are forced to do it, right? Absence of real-time information. You will keep on telling to sales and marketing or the planning, hey, why didn't you tell it earlier? Why didn't you, let me know all about all these changes earlier itself? All these are symptoms of you are into a reactive supply chain. Different meanings of criticality. How many of you can raise your hands and say, today what is critical as per me is the same answer that will be given by my manufacturing head, my supply chain head, my procurement head. He will give me the same set of answer. That meaning of criticality itself is very different in people's minds. Quality will think the quality function will think something else is critical. Right? Those are all the symptoms of a reactive supply chain. Deviations, chaos, firefighting, excess investment and lost sales, right? You are forced to do something that you don't want to do. On the other hand, we have responsive supply chain where the actions are by design, real-time information is there, meanings of criticality, very important. What is critical is clear to everyone, right from sales marketing to your procurement. Right? Much less chaos and much less firefighting, better ROI, and of course, these are the resultants of it. But this is how we differentiate between reactive and a responsive supply chain. So now start thinking about on which side we are, what are the symptoms that we are experiencing more. Okay? So for this, now just to address how do we become responsive supply chain, I will introduce only one concept. And I think it is by far, most of you know it. I am just putting it out here. It's the concept of flow. Right? How many of us are mechanical engineers or like some sort of related engineering background? Just a quick show. Most of you, right? Fluid dynamics as a subject was very difficult, right? Very difficult to understand, very difficult to score, right? Whatever you do. But in that, there is a concept of flow. It's a very important concept. So you would have seen something like this chaotic and streamlined. smooth supply. If you look at your company and your supply chain, this is exactly how they behave. Chaotic means absence of people are running around for getting some decision, for getting some approval. Something has to be immediately procured from the supplier. He is saying, no, sir, I can't do it at my this thing. You arrange for the vehicle. Running around. So that is what is called as a chaotic flow. Chaotic flow of decisions, chaotic flow of information. Half the people don't know what is critical. Half other people have some other meaning of criticality. Material flow is very chaotic. And on the other side is the smooth flow. So, very simple. The stop-start supply of flow of information and material is chaotic. Shortage and surplus. You have the inventory in which something is short, something is huge. And after that, you will constitute a team to get rid of that inventory. How do we control the inventory? On the other side, you have healthy inventory, difficult to control and easy to control, right? This is the key nature of a chaotic versus smooth flow. Whenever you feel you are not in control of things, it is a symptom of a chaotic flow, very difficult to control. A smooth flow is something that comes along with a control and better efficiency. Once you have better control, of course, you will become good at it, right? So, the question is, how do we sense it? And here is, I would like to understand from you, how many of you see inventory as a waste? Just a show of hands. Inventory. शर्माने की वो आंसर हाथ एकदम अच्छे से उठाइए. There is no shame in that. Okay, inventory as a waste. Few कुछ लोग ऐसे डरते हुए उठा रहे हैं. How can I call something as waste? Right? But this is something that we consultants have institutionalized. Inventory waste. Oh, if there is an inventory, that means there is some waste, some uncertainty, something is there. I don't like it. We have to have one piece flow, smooth flow. But here is the other side of the inventory. So on one side, we have this waste, inefficiency in the system, capital is stuck, finance will give lectures about how much money is stuck in there, right? As if tomorrow the company will close because so much of inventory capital is stuck in the inventory. It is seen as a waste, but there is other side of looking at it. Inventory gives you a sense of flow. You are not dealing with one product, right? You are dealing with multiple products. The respective inventories of those items gives you a sense of flow. What is flowing faster? What is flowing slower? Is something that can be captured from inventory. That's the best and first indicator. I don't believe in when sales team comes and says, we will sell this much and all that. Proof of the pudding is whether I have inventory in my warehouse or not. If I don't have it, you have sold it. Very simple. So the inventory, that is something that through which we can sense. And that is what our point is about how to build a supply chain. How to build a very responsive supply chain is how to understand the inventory better and take the decisions accordingly. It's a very simple thing to do, okay, but very effective. So that's where I introduced the concept of demand-driven system. It is not a new concept, all of us know about it. But the thing is, when we say demand-driven system, is something that's how we capture it through the flow of inventory. So three very simple things. First of all, creation of visibility led by inventory-led systems. Which is selling more, which is selling less, qualifying the inventory in a very simple and effective system will give you a sense of flow. What is flowing and what is not. This information you don't have to rely on the planner or the sales team for them to tell you. Right? Second is establish the rules. See, we all love efficiency, right? If I tell to supply chain and operations, no, forget about efficiency, you'll feel very uncomfortable. But here is the thing. After the first rule of visibility, you can very well define clear rules of efficiency within it. and then you will ask for, you will keep sensing where the flows are getting stuck, where the obstacles are coming. That is the way in which you will be able to build the responsive supply chain, and you will also become efficient at it. Right? So, on top of this, this is the final piece of the puzzle. A paradigm shift in responsibility. Today, who is responsible for ensuring the availability of raw material in your warehouses? Who is responsible? Anyone? Procurement team? Or anyone? Operations? Supplier? No? Supplier is not responsible for creating availability? Only after PO, you are absolutely right. Only after PO. Only after we tell him, then he is supposed to do it. Right? Think of, are you aware of the flexibilities that the supplier has in their operations? On a daily basis, you are not, right? You don't know when his capacity is getting freed up for what. You are not standing over there, right? So, who is the best person who can ensure availability for you? Supplier. But we have taken all that in our hands. No, we will give you an order, you supply. Baba, he is running an operations for so many years with so much of experience, but you are telling him like a kid ki what I tell you is something that you have to do. You are not letting him create availability for you. He is also very happily saying, nah sir, okay, whatever your order you are giving. We have seen so many supply chains where the supply delivery percentage, this thing is 95, 99%. Yet the plant comes to halt every day because some material has not come. But the number looks very good. 99% sir, delivery performance of our suppliers. Because you have told him to react as per order. You have not made him responsible for availability. Similarly, in the central warehouse and the regional warehouses, who is the best person who can ensure availability? It's the operations. You can, based on the sensing, understand what has to be produced and throttled. But unfortunately, the way we have created the system is, sales and marketing will give you an order, you have to supply to it. And that's how we also measure ourselves. Sir, the production requirement was this much, I have done it. For what have you created availability? I don't know. You have just produced something, that's all. That is the key paradigm shift that we are talking about. Let the people who are enabled to respond better should be in charge of creating that availability. Right? So with this, just summarizing the advantages of system, there are companies who have been able to do this. And so one is material flow led operations, and on top of that responsibility, the responsibility of availability, it results first into your capacity getting revealed, because you are not working on unnecessary thing that is not required for short term future. Right? Your lead time you are able to cut in, because again, you know the prioritization better. It comes with a reduction in inventory. Again, the same logic, because you sense and you know ki what is selling more is something that I can produce. And finally, it has an impact on the new product development also, because now the suppliers, all of you are synced towards a better priority. They also have a revelation of capacity and their resources to work on the new product as well. Most of the times they are not able to do it because they are after meeting your current requirements itself. So with this, now where the new age techniques come into picture in this, we have been hearing a lot about the AI and new things about how we are going to sense the demand, how we are going to work on the data. This is where it comes into picture, is when we create a system like this, then we can let these tools to understand whether our sensing is better or not. How the movement of inventory is happening across the products, across this, and get it presented as an information on which you can act. It's not just today also we see, lots of planners in the organization, they will keep on circulating lots of MISs. All the attached, 1 MB, 2 MB Excel sheets, marked to 2 to everyone, CC to everyone. But nobody knows how to make sense of it. So this is where these tools come into picture. About a simple way in which I am able to prioritize the things so people understand. And then use their wisdom to become more efficient in it. My job is not to dictate someone. So, simple rules of transformation. First, create visibility, create that kind of a system which lets everybody know what is critical based on this inventory-led flow. Second is the alignment. Once you see those critical indicators, allow the team to get aligned to it. Third is the accountability. They have to be responsible for that. They have to be responsible for creating availability to where you are supplying. Don't get into this, give me the order and I will respond to it. And finally, the optimization part of it. How we can get better and better and better at it. Right? So with this, I will close with just 2 questions in mind. Right? What we call as a litmus test. The first is this: is my plant making today what is unavailable in my warehouse? Now think of it, in a very simple way, in terms of without me telling, does he know? Without somebody from sales, marketing and planning telling, because that's when they will be able to react better. They will be able to respond better. And second is my supplier dispatching what is unavailable in my warehouse today? Is he planning for it? Is he thinking for it proactively? Right? Think in that way. And these are the rules when you start setting up. This will bring about a transformation in the way we think about things, the way we think about flow. What is selling? What is not selling? And like I think ma'am also said, if we understand the flow, that enables us to make mistakes and fail earlier. Right? You will be able to make mistakes fast and learn from it. Otherwise, you will be happy in our world of somebody has given me order, something went wrong, it is his responsibility now. He gave me a wrong order. What do? I am efficient. But you may not be effective. Right? Thank you very much. I don't know whether we have time for a question or anything, or like we are completely out of time, then I'll just close.
We've got about 2 minutes.
2 minutes, one question maybe. This thing, I'm really sorry to put this. So what we can do is, I'm available after the call, and we can, interact personally about, what are the things, what are the challenges. I'd like to hear more about it from your side. What are yeah, please. Oh, I think he needs a, I'll definitely. Yeah, please.
Share my experience also.
Yeah, okay.
I hope you will not take negatively.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
I hope you will not take negatively, since I come from the background of manufacturing. I'll explain.
Sure.
I am a core trainer of this business trainer of 7 years. I implemented a lot, what you were saying. Then I jump into the operation to see my capability, what I trained is okay or not okay. Practically I trained. I succeed in this, what you explained, maybe 85 to 88%. Still I have a gap of 12%, 15%.
Okay.
Some of the words what you use, yes. Supplier is my stock. You not use the word called stockist. Supplier is like a planner. Supplier is a connectivity. I am also supplier to the customer. But still my business, I cannot accept that concept. I am the supplier to my customer. Where I am expecting my supplier should be as like what I want. Ready-made item like a food industry or other industry or garment industry, whatever it is. Okay. We are into specialization now. I work across so many manufacturing companies like GE, General Motor, engine manufacturing company. So much I implemented from the root, from the layout change, as I said, flow manufacturing. But still I find a gap there. Still I find a gap. But is it so easy to take 100% or 95% success rate in this? Because I met so many manufacturing experts, business experts to understand.
Correct.
Yes, are we really manufacturing experts can make 95% hit rate on our thought of manufacturing flow or whatever it is. But still I find of some 20% real gap.
No, you are right, sir. In terms of what we have explained over here, marks the start of a journey. In terms of today, what we see as people are working in terms of somebody giving an order and we responding to it. Like you said, right, I would not like to be treated as a supplier. Maybe the term, the connotation attached along with it, that is something that has to change. But in real sense, what will change? When he understands that it is my responsibility to have the availability for my customer, right? And for that, I have all the information. So it's not, and in this process, yes, there are certain companies who have been able to do this, because once you start doing this, there are lots of business conflicts that you'll have to take care of. It's not that easy of, just preaching it and saying it and then it will be done. There are lots of business conflicts that come into picture. How do we deal with uncertainty? How do we deal with if this results into my supplier having more cost of operations? Where do we adjust that, right? But then for that, it has to be seen. If that supplier acts that way, my productivity and the downtime in the plant, whether that is improving or not. So it has to be looked in a very holistic way in terms of being more successful. But yes, this is a journey on which we will have to initiate.
I think anything else we can take offline if it's
Sure.
okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yes. Thank you so much for being very patient. Please.